my friend Rob August has a very good friend who's been a Jet season ticket holder forever. He just wants to bury the Patriots,
Yeah,
which I understand. My
absolutely.
only fear about rooting for the Patriots, I will kill myself and Zach Wilson if we are both like 9-8 or 10-7, and it
Yeah,
has to go to a
yeah,
tiebreaker for the playoffs.
yeah. I want to bury the Patriots too, because obviously I can't stand them, but also it gets the Jets that much closer to making the playoffs, which to me is the goal. I don't,
Right.
winning the division. The funny thing is, my feeling is almost is like if we can get in, it's one of the last seeds. I don't know. There's a vibe, with the whole Mike White thing, and just getting better as the year goes on. I don't think it matters that much. If we have to play Kansas City early, that could be tough, but we could catch them. Well, Kansas City, they'll probably get the bye.
Yeah, they're going to get a
Yeah,
bye.
yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
No, I mean, I think if they make the playoffs, they're ahead of schedule, and maybe
Yes.
they get a win. I mean, I think it'd be great.
Right. And not to harp on it, but Ralph, I mean, unless he has a few bad games in a row, gets hurt, I don't see any scenario where Salah goes back to Zach Wilson.
I don't either. And he keeps saying, the plan is still for him. I think
He
he has to say that he has to keep Wilson engaged, because if he says he's done for the year, he could just drop his head and not keep trying to work on his game. But yeah, I agree.
I mean, I could just imagine the conversation and the tweets and the text messages from Garrett Wilson to his peeps and Elijah Moore. These guys have no love for this guy. Anyway, as we're waiting for Ray, let's move on. Ralph, you had some. You did a deep dive into Mike White from Western Kentucky, and by the way, he measures 6'4" 5/8". Everybody thinks 6'5". He's just a shade under 6'5".
He's got good size though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interestingly, his junior and senior year, he was at Western Kentucky, and he put up good numbers, but his numbers got destroyed last year by what quarterback from Western Kentucky? That's right, Bailey Zappi. He threw 62 touchdown passes last year. I think that's more than Burrow threw in his insane year. It's crazy. Another thing is he was drafted in 2018, which is the year we got Sam Darnold.
Right.
He was the 8th quarterback drafted. The 9th quarterback drafted was drafted in the 199th pick, and you know what pick that is? That's Tom Brady's number.
Yeah.
Who was that quarterback? And the hint is he played for the Jets, actually, if you could call it playing, because he was terrible.
I'll never get that. Ray would get it if he was here.
Probably.
I would never get that.
All right, if he's not listening.
Greg McElroy.
No. Luke Falk.
Luke Falk. That's
another undersized, weak arm quarterback.
Right. Which is incredible. Yeah. But anyway, what else about Mike White did you find out?
Well, he didn't start in high school until his senior year, and he led his team to the Division III state championship in Florida. That's saying a lot, because they got a ton of talent down there.
And he was also a great baseball player.
Threw in the low 90s, and he had an ERA like Jacob deGrom's. It was like 0.43 or something like that. I watched, it's funny, after the game, I ran to Google his college highlights. And I know, Marty, college highlights make everyone look like a superstar.
Right.
But the one thing I was able to glean from it is that he threw a ton of long passes, and I mean some on a line. So he's got a better arm than we thought originally. I remember like the pass to Elijah Moore, not the touchdown, but the other one. That was a tremendous pass on a very, very tight window. I think we underestimated his arm strength. I think it's good. It's not Patrick Mahomes, but it's good enough in this league.
Well, here's one of my questions, and I had to go back and review the 2021 Buffalo Bill game, because I have a couple of friends, and they start saying to me, the 4 interceptions, Marty, but 2 of those were tipped. And I said, I don't think they were tipped. So I went back and none of them were tipped. They were horrible passes, awful. And I had forgotten that he also fumbled one bad play. It was a horrible play on the field, which was bad. But the question I have, because I looked at that, and then I looked at last week's game, and we all know that Chicago Bears aren't a really good team. But Ralph, do you think he did something with his technique or whatever? Because his passes, like you said, it doesn't look like Dan Marino, but it looks like he's throwing a harder pass.
You know, it's funny. I was just watching the press conference with Mike LaFleur, and then someone asked him about the Buffalo game. And he said, when they looked at the film, he said the problem, he said he didn't think he was making bad decisions, but his lower body was getting ahead of his upper body. And it was a technique and a mechanical problem, which he said it was very easy to correct. So he's comfortable with that. And obviously his mechanics looked absolutely excellent in the Chicago game. Now, you know, as far as having stinkers go, you know, I was up here blessed with the being able to watch Tom Brady his first year in the league, first year that he played after the Mo Lewis. And he had a couple of stinkers that year too. A 4-interception game against Denver, a 2-interception game against St. Louis, played terrible against Miami. So, you know, all quarterbacks have stinkers, but this guy has started 4 games. It's incredible. The lack of experience he has. I mean, he's been floating around, and yeah, he's had the benefit of being on a football team in the pros for a while, but his lack of experience. I watched, you know what I watched today? You know when his first appearance in the pros was, Marty? It was in the Patriots game last year where the Patriots ran up the score when Wilson got hurt. Right. They just threw him in. It's the first time he's ever seen any action going against Bill Belichick. And he started out pretty good.
Came down the field, they scored a touchdown.
And he got him, and they got another touchdown, and then he threw a pick and things sort of unraveled. But he threw for a couple hundred yards. And to me, that's amazing for a guy who's never been on the field before to go up against Belichick. He had no prep during the week being the quarterback. And then the next week was Cincinnati. The week after Indy, he again started out really well, and then he got hurt.
Yes.
So
what do you remember? What was the injury? What is it?
I think it was an arm, an elbow, or something. I'm not sure. Maybe Ray remembers. Here he is. Speak of the devil, huh?
He's coming on right now. Yeah. But Ralph, I really value your ability to judge quarterbacks. Hi, Ray.
Hello.
Welcome to our first live stream on YouTube.
Thanks.
And I just hope everyone will subscribe. Okay, we're talking about right now. We're talking about Mike White.
Isn't everybody?
Surprise, yeah. No, according to Marty, people are still talking too much about Zach Wilson.
Well, that's what I think. I opened with that, Ray, saying I don't understand why everyone's so concerned about if Mike White throws 3 interceptions, if he gets hurt. Everybody's so concerned. Oh, what are they going to do next year? Forget about that. The only thing to be concerned about is the Minnesota Vikings and winning the game, putting the person behind the center that gives the New York Jets a best chance to win the football game against the Vikings. That's all I care about. And I said also, I don't care if it's Elijah Moore a quarterback or Queenan Williams a quarterback. I want to win the darn football game. I want to go to the playoffs. And that's what I said. Ray, what's your take on Mike White?
You got to keep going with him. I mean, it's pretty simple. I don't care, what he does. Okay, he throws 3 interceptions. What did Zach do against New England? Who cares? I mean, we're going to ride this until we see anything different. What bothered me wasn't so much, what he might do, or is he the answer or not, or Zach being benched. It's that Saleh actually said it's week to week. There's no week to week about it. Until Mike White says he can't do it, Zach's on the bench. And if he puts him in while we're riding high with Mike White, Saleh and Zach will get killed on, the following week. I mean, you cannot do that. So that's the only thing that bothered me was Saleh didn't just say, until, further notice, Mike White's our guy.
He can't say it though, Ray. He's got to.
Why not?
Because he's
not Bill Belichick. Because Bill Belichick would have said it.
No, he's still got to baby him a little bit. He's still got to baby the agent. I disagree. I think. Look, He could say,
Why does he got to baby him? He doesn't have to say he's never going to start again or anything. Why doesn't he just say, right now we're going to go with who's moving the team, who's making us our offense at least move the ball.
Right.
No, it's gonna granted it was Chicago, but who cares?
Robert Saleh is not Bill Belichick. He's a player's coach, and I just think he's just trying to keep everyone engaged. And a perfect example is Robinson, the running back, who was complaining about not playing last week, and he's trying to build him up and saying he's going to be a big part of this team.
Okay, so let me ask you this then.
Go ahead.
You said he's trying to keep the players pumped up and everything. Who does he want to pump up, Zach or the rest of the team? Because right now the rest of the team's on the Mike White bandwagon along with everybody else.
He doesn't have to pump up the rest of the team. They're all pumped.
Well, do you think they want to hear it's week to week?
Look, what he says and what goes on behind the doors and what the players know amongst themselves, he could say whatever he wants, but also the players could do a little wink to each other. I really believe that. Listen, to me, it's got to be all Mike White. If he throws 4 interceptions Sunday, you still got to start him against Buffalo. He earned more than one start. Okay, absolutely. And I got to really like the last few weeks, Robert Saleh, the way he's been handling a lot of different things. So
you got to like the way he handled the Moore thing. Other coach might have just, said to the GM, get rid of him. I don't want him on my team. Yeah. But he brought him along, and now he could be very productive.
And he deactivated one game.
Yeah.
Remember that.
I was up here, unfortunately. I watched the Brady year in 2001, and Belichick never came out and said one way or another, Brady's my guy. He just kept mum. And every week the article is what's going to happen when Bledsoe gets back. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way Bledsoe's taking over this team. They keep winning. It's just that simple. And that's the same exact formula that's going to happen here. If this guy keeps winning, he's got the job. And I think everyone knows it.
Yeah.
I don't think they want him to get it too far ahead of themselves. Just one game at a time is fine with me. But
Belichick never said, though, that, well, we're going week to week or see what happens. I remember him being, I don't know if it was ESPN or who, and they asked him, about, when Bledsoe was coming back, is this going to be a competition? He goes, oh, Tom's a starter. And that's all he said. He didn't say there's a competition. He didn't say anything. He just, it's Tom's a starter.
Well,
so that's how it should be with Mike White right now.
Mike White's the starter right now. I mean, he's coming out on a Sunday. And
now, if he struggles for 2 or 3 games, then that's a whole different story.
Yeah, struggles, or if he has meltdowns like Zach. Right. But like I said before you got on the air, Brady had some stinkers that year in 01. I mean, every quarterback does. So you can't just cut bait if he has a bad game.
No. Yeah. But I want to ask you guys both, because indication a few weeks ago when they moved Mike White up to the second string and demoted Flacco. I'm just wondering, do you guys have any speculation? Was that more Mike White? He saw something in him, LaFleur and Saleh, or was that more of a weakness to Flacco? What do you think, Ray?
I think he was contemplating changing Zach, and I think he wanted to give White a try. That would be my guess. Why he made Flacco completely inactive, I wasn't sure, but I think he felt like Mike White is kind of like a younger, more mobile version of Flacco in a lot of ways. He's taller, he's more of a pocket guy, although I think he's a little more, able to move around than Flacco is. And so I think that was a lot of the move. I don't think it was a knock on Flacco either. I think it was just, let's see what this guy's got, and he might be a better, alternative to Zach.
Ralph, I want to ask you, I think
let me just talk about that. I heard Saleh talking about, he said at the beginning of training camp, Mike White came in, he was a little behind for whatever reason. He said by the end of training camp, the Giant game, he played really well. I just watched the clips of that. He was very good. But they had already decided they were going to go with Flacco. But he'd kind of gotten up to speed. And like I heard, who's it? Sean Payton, the other day was saying, we don't see what goes on in the 7-on-7s during the week. And they obviously saw something in Mike White as the season was progressing to the point where they decided he's ready to be the number 2 guy. So it's good because he definitely turned it around, and it looks like they made the right evaluation.
Yeah. And Ralph, I want to ask you this. Do you think the episode, I think it was 2012, Robert Saleh was on the Seattle Seahawks staff, like offensive quality control. And that was the year where they signed a quarterback free agent, a lot of money. I guess it was it Mike Flynn? Was that his name?
Yeah, Flynn. He's from Green Bay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an
So
LSU guy.
a lot of money, but Pete Carroll, by the time training camp was over, he got his staff together and said, listen, this 3rd round pick, Russell Wilson, is better. He said, I'm going to start the guy that's going to put us in the best position to win. So, Ralph, I'm just asking you, do you think that had any effect on Robert Saleh? He witnessed that 10 years ago.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. And I think that I saw an interview with Mike Martz the other day, who was very impressed with Mike White. He said the whole situation has a Kurt Warner feel to it. It's the way the players rally around him. I remember it was like the week before their season was going to start. Trent Green, I think, broke his leg, and all the reporters were saying, "Are you going to go sign someone?" And he says, "No, we like this guy, even though he hasn't played. We like this guy." And you evaluate these guys behind the scene, and they know more. And boy, was he right about that. But he said the thing about him that he reminds him of, he gets the ball out quickly and accurately. So just like Kurt Warner, and it's just more exciting news to me.
Ray, we see Mike White is very accurate in the short and medium passes. We really haven't seen him in the long passes. Do you think he's got the potential to really be a good passer long from what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, he hasn't got a huge arm, but he can make a deep throw. He seems to have I think he's practiced with him enough that he's got all the guys, on board where he knows what he's got to do as far as getting the ball deep. And, I don't see any reason why he can't.
Ray, watch some of his college highlights. See, there's a ton of long passes in there.
I don't even know where he went to college.
Western Kentucky. That was one of my trivia questions. Who broke all of Mike White's records at Western Kentucky? Marty already got it.
Did you?
Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, we're going to Mike White, if he turns out to be a quality starter, and I'll start with Ray first and go to Ralph. Do you think this gets Joe Douglas off the hook for drafting Zach Wilson with a number 2 pick? Ray?
I don't know that he's on, on the hook, so to speak. I don't have a problem with him drafting Zach. He just didn't pan out. To get him off the hook. I mean, I don't even know anybody else they could have drafted that would have done any better, than Zach. I mean, I won't say couldn't have done better. A lot of guys could have done better than what Zach's doing, but I don't know that they would have made that much of a difference. I like Mike White, but Mike White's probably where he's at because he's been on the practice squad for years. He's been in a few games. He's kind of up to speed on the NFL game. These other guys, I'm not sure how Justin Fields or Mac Jones or any of them would have handled the Jets team, over the last year and a half with what our offensive line was like. So I don't think Joe Douglas has got to apologize for anything. He went with who he thought was the best guy, and it didn't pan out. A lot of draft picks don't pan out. So I don't think it's an issue.
Ralph, do you think he's built up enough equity and foundation in the team where this will come back to haunt him, or you think they'll just overlook it?
Well, of course, in hindsight is 2020, so it would have been great to get a cash that pick him. But no, I think he has definitely built up enough equity. I still see a lot of angry, Jet fans who some people you just can't please. Jet fans are so frustrated. It's just, it's part of the DNA. It's fire Joe Douglas because he screwed up that number 2 pick. No, he's built up enough equity. And yeah, if he finds Mike White off the waiver wire and he becomes a good NFL quarterback for the next 5 to 8 years for the Jets, I absolutely, it's just a different way of going about it. But, the bottom line is we want a quarterback who's going to give us some wins, and get us into the playoffs every year.
Absolutely right. And you mentioned about taking players off the waiver wire. I want to get into a player that I really like, this running back Bam Knight, because I've been getting text messages and emails from different people. And Ralph and I had done a dive into him, like I remember in the preseason, but I keep getting these questions. Hey, Marty, have you seen his college highlights? It's unbelievable. And this
we all
guy,
know about college highlights.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. That's what we said. But what I like about him, now I'm not comparing him. I don't think he's usually fast, but I didn't think Gale Sayers was fast either. But he's able to have a great first cut. And this guy has a tremendous first cut on the field. So I really like him. Ralph, what did you like what you saw in him when you're looking at him in college?
I liked a lot of things about him. And, the funny thing is, after watching Michael Carter and Robinson, I always thought Bam Knight was kind of built low to the ground, but he looked tall compared to those guys, but he's not really. I just liked his combination of he was quick, but he could also bounce off tacklers. He looked like a player to me, and I know running back's a devalued position. So, it's not as surprising that he didn't get drafted as a guy like Bryce Huff, who's an edge rusher. And I was totally blown away that he was not drafted a couple of years ago. So I was a little, I think what disappointed me a little was that when Breece Hall went down, they didn't immediately give him the shot rather than go after Robinson, who I don't know what's going on with him now, if he's going to be a problem or not. I guess if Carter's hurt, then that opens a slot for Robinson. That sort of solves the problem temporarily.
Right.
But I think he sort of, I don't know what they told him. It was the reason that he wasn't going to dress, but I'm sure it came as a surprise to him. Interesting moves. And you know what? Like you said, Marty, it's Gil Hodges. They keep making moves and they seem to work.
Keep working out.
Yeah.
I go back to Ray. I go back to when he cut Bless Austin. I remember saying, "What is he doing?" I said, "Bless Austin isn't that good," but he was starting, and he has Bryce Hall on the inactive every week. There's like a method to his madness, and he's, it's funny. He's building that defense just like the San Francisco 49er defense. It's amazing. He really is. But Ray, I wanted to ask your opinion on Bam Knight as we're talking about him. And what do you think the ceiling is for this guy? I know it's a small sample size.
Very small. And Chicago's defense wasn't the best, but he seemed to, as the game went on, he seemed to get stronger, which I like. I just think we need the tough back like that. But I don't know about you guys, but making Michael Robinson a healthy scratch.
Is it Michael Robinson or James Robinson?
James Robinson. I'm sorry, not Michael. Yeah. James Robinson. That just to me was stunning when they announced that he was a healthy scratch. I thought, boy, he must have got hurt during the week. So I'm not surprised at Bam because I thought he looked good in the preseason. I thought when we didn't keep him, I didn't know that he'd make it to the practice squad. I thought somebody might grab him and give him a shot, but I was glad to see him elevated. I'm like Ralph. I thought they would have after Breece Hall went down. I thought they were going to bring him up. So a little surprised at that, but like you say, he's pushing. Joe Douglas is pushing all the right buttons, but I would have thought it would have been Robinson and Bam Knight, not Johnson and Bam Knight being our backs. I was a
Yeah, I
little
think
surprised
the
with that.
special team stuff has a lot to do with Johnson
Right.
and Bam Knight are
Right.
both special team guys. I don't know if Robinson is playing on special
Probably
teams or
not.
it's, yeah.
No, I don't think he is. And
No.
if you remember Robinson again, on that drive against the Bills, he was fantastic in that fourth quarter drive.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny, Ralph, if you have a good recollection, and I remember this, you and me had a conversation about Bam Knight, and when they had cut him, and I remember speaking to you off air saying, I'm really upset. I said, Ralph, watch, this guy's going to end up in New England like, what's his name?
Mark, say that about every player.
No,
we
who's
cut.
the small guy? Who is the small
Danny
guy?
Wood, Danny Woodhead, yeah.
Danny Wood. That's exactly what I said. And you laughed again like that too. But thank God he got through. And let's just see what happens. And I want to see, though, if he's able to pick up blitzes. That's very, very important to me. And I like the fact that he did have a good run out on the kickoff. Something is going on with, and I mentioned it's Braxton Barrios, not on the punt returns, on his kickoff returns. I don't like him back in the kickoff returns.
Which is fine, because the punt returning
Right.
is more important to me. I mean, how many kickoffs do these guys return? Or the whole thing, I hate the kickoff. I wish they just get rid of it rather than watching the ball go out of the end zone every time. It's a,
Right.
it's a dumb
Right.
play.
You had this question. I'm going to go to you first. 2 signs that the football world is taking the Jets seriously. I know one definitely I saw, but tell me what
When-
you think. Well, I'll tell you, mine was when they had a chance to flex this. They asked
Exactly.
for it, and I guess it was CBS said no.
No,
we want
yeah,
the Jets.
Yeah.
So did you hear that,
always,
Ray?
No, but I'm not that surprised, especially because it's the New York market mainly too. But
yeah, but it's got to be attractive.
It's excited. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exciting that we're actually good. And now this game is really going to be.
And by the way, I'm glad they're not flexing the game. I like the 1:00 games. I don't like these night games. Way too long.
I agree. But Ralph, you said 2 signs.
Yeah. The other one is that a month ago, the Jets played Buffalo with a winning record at home, and they were a 12 to 14 point
Right.
underdog.
Right.
This week, they're going into Minnesota against the 9-2 team, 3-point underdog at this point,
So
which
it's
is a
even.
whole. Which is even on a neutral
Right.
field. So I want to know what in 1 month to change that much. What do you think people are seeing that made that change so drastic?
They're seeing a competitive football team, and in spite of our other quarterback, it was the defense. I believe that it's been carrying them, and that.
Oh
again,
yeah.
Talking about Robert Saleh, that was another decision which we all were scratching our head the first 2 games. Why was Bryce Huff not active? And then once they activate him, the guy's been tremendous. Now, I just want to mention too, because one of our listeners brought it out. They sent me a clip of Bryce Huff's sack. I don't know if you saw this clip. At the last second, CJ Mosley comes running up like he's about to blitz.
You're right.
I don't know how he timed it. And then at the last second, he stepped back, and the tackle was concerned.
Went after
about
him.
Mosley.
Right. Yeah.
He went to hit block inside like Mosley was going in. And Mosley, he really showed a lot of speed for his age backing up. And Bryce Huff, as we all know, he went in like untouched, which was just fabulous. So, Ray, I want to ask you this. Go ahead. Were you going to say something, Ray?
No, I was just laughing because you said it showed a lot of speed for his age. Like these guys in their 30s.
Well,
30.
Wait till they
Yeah.
get to my age.
it's funny. But
They get
there's always
faster with age, right? You didn't know that?
Apparently.
CJ Mosley, and I think we're all loving the guy, but there's always one play where he screws up. He misses a tackle. It's like a caricature of a Bugs Bunny cartoon. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. Ray, we're going into Minnesota. They got some weapons, but we want to know, who would you fear more? Would it be Dalvin Cook, either running or catching a pass out of backfield, or Justin Jefferson? Let me throw somebody else in there, or TJ Hawkinson, the
yeah,
tight end. Out
He's
of
a
those
tough
3,
matchup.
Ray. And they also have Thielen, but let's talk about those 3, because 3 different positions.
Take your pick. I fear Jefferson for the big plays more because I love Sauce. This is going to be, or maybe they'll put him against, switch him the other side and it'll be against DJ Reed. So if he's against DJ Reed, I really fear Jefferson. I fear him anyway against Sauce. Cook, I fear out of the backfield a little bit, and Hawkinson is the one that I think can be the difference maker. But as far as big plays who could kill us, until I see otherwise, Justin Jefferson.
Okay. I think I'm going to go, then Ralph's going to go. I think it's Hawkinson. And
Yeah, you're a tight end guy, Marty. I always know that.
and
Yeah,
I couldn't understand why Detroit let him go to a team in the same
really.
division. And if you
What
look
did
at
they get for him? Do you remember?
Not
I
enough.
I don't
No.
remember. But when you're answering, Ralph, I'll Google it quickly.
right.
But as good as the Jet defense is, I still think that their weakness is linebackers and safeties. And this guy really worries me. And very close. And I'm worried about Jefferson too, but Dalvin Cook more as a pass catcher than a runner.
Yeah.
That worries me also too. So I'm going to say that Hawkinson is the one that worries me the most. Ralph?
Okay, so we'll go with all three. I'm going to say Dalvin Cook, and I'm afraid of his running because I find the last couple of weeks the Jets have been not tackling well, and that guy, he's like Breece Hall. He can go from any point in the field and break it, and I just feel like if they don't tackle better, he's going to pop one, and I think Jefferson's going to get his yards. And Ray, to your point, I heard Albrecht say flat out, they're not going to run Gardner against him. They're going to stay there, keep their guys on their sides, and whoever lines up. And I know they do a lot of stuff with Jefferson, so he'll probably get a little of both. But I think Jefferson, I don't think you stop him. I think you can stop Cook. Cook, they will stop running Reese, and I think if they can control him and let Jefferson get it, take their poison with him, and they'll have a shot.
Let me just read you the trade.
Yeah.
Vikings acquired tight end TJ Hawkinson from the Detroit Lions on Tuesday, as well as a 4th round pick in 2023. So I guess the Vikings got Hawkinson and a 4th round pick and a conditional pick in 24 in exchange for a 2023 2nd round pick and a 2024 3rd round pick. That's a good trade for the Vikings.
Yeah, it is a good trade for the Vikings.
I think it's a real good trade for the Vikings. They did a good thing. But how much do I know? I'm the guy that thought the trade for the Buffalo Bills wide receiver was a lousy trade. But all right, let's get to some fun, because as early as I go to bed, I'm going to really make an effort tonight, Thursday night, to get through at least the first half of the game. And Ray, before you came on, Ralph and I started talking as one of the questions, who are we going for tonight's game as the Bills go to Foxborough to visit the New England Patriots? And Ray, before we went on the air, I don't know if you heard it, it came over the wire, some interesting news. The Bills at about 4:00 put Von Miller on the injured reserve list, so the Jets won't see him in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
You heard that, Ray?
Yeah, I did. And I heard Von Miller had said he was hoping to be back before they announced that he was hoping to be back for the Jets game. And I was like,
thanks.
Yeah, thanks. But Ray, who are we going for tonight and why?
Me, I'm going for Buffalo. I'm never going to go for New England.
First of all,
second of all, New England's our biggest challenge if we want to make the playoffs. So if we want to stay ahead of them, we need them to lose, because I don't see us catching Buffalo. In all honesty, I don't see us catching Buffalo, or probably not Miami either, unless they falter. But I think Buffalo beating New England is our road to getting in if we can keep going.
Yeah, I agree totally with that.
I had said that I keep waffling all week long, back and forth.
Marty, when the minute you see those New England jerseys, there's no way you're going to root for them.
And believe me, when I watch the game tonight, the sound is going to be either off, muted, or very low. I just can't stand the fans. I can't stand it. But Ray, what I said was this:
But you got to
Game's
see
in
Bob.
Buffalo, isn't it?
We have to see Robert Kraft though open his box,
Oh,
right?
I can't stand that.
I think the game's in Buffalo, isn't it?
No, it's New England.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Ray, who gets more airtime? Robert Kraft or Woody Johnson?
Oh, please.
But anyway, Ray,
That's almost as much as Bill Belichick. I mean, they'd go up to the booth about every other play.
yeah, I had said that, I really, if the Jets have any chance to win the division, I'd love them to do it. The only scary part to me, Ray, is if the Patriots and the Jets are tied at like 10-7 or 9-8, and they lose the
On the
playoff
tiebreaker
because they head on, and then I would really hate Zach Wilson. I'll be really upset.
What do you mean? What about John Franklin Meyer? One play that could define our season. That play.
I know. You're right, Ralph. But I think you guys have convinced me that I have to turn up my Buffalo Bills hat and go to the Bills tonight against.
If we can bury the Patriots, then we just have to get rid of the Chargers, and then we're okay. There's going to be one.
Chargers will fail at one of they always blow games they should win.
Yeah, and
the Raiders game is a typical one they'll blow.
They're not. Yeah, they're disappointing this year. One of Sincere or Baltimore. They'll be one of the wild card teams. Miami will be the other, and the Jets could be the third. Then it's pretty clear cut right now. There isn't a whole lot of competition. If we can bury the Patriots, yeah.
It's incredible. It's December 1st, and we're talking about making the playoffs or even winning the division, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is incredible. But also Sunday night, again, I'm not going to stay for the whole game, but San Francisco plays the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, big game.
Which is a big game. Is that game in San Francisco, Ray?
I
think that's in Miami. I'm pretty sure it's in Miami. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty
sure. San Francisco's
it's
playing very well.
Right.
So Miami,
they really turned their season around. So is Miami. Yeah, they're undefeated with Tua. So
they're playing really good. I like their coach. He has such a dry sense of humor. The coach of Miami,
McDaniel.
McDaniel. I listened to him.
Mr. Analytic.
Yeah, Mr. Analytic. But anyway, all right. Anything else, guys, before we close out our first ever Jets Rewind live stream, which is now being seen all over, even in Ukraine and Moscow. Go ahead, Ralph.
All I can say is, and I talked about this before you got on the air, Ray, is last week I felt so much more relaxed watching the game because Wilson wasn't in there. It's so stressful watching him play. And I'm really looking forward to this game. We can make our predictions. I personally think the Jets are going to win this game, but I'm going to pick Minnesota because Ray and I believe in that kind of hex stuff.
Karma.
But I feel so comfortable with White there. He's not going to be perfect, but and the Minnesota, they're an interesting team. I don't think they're as good as their record. No. Their plus minus point differential is 5 for a 9-2 team. I know they had that big Dallas rout, but still they have won a bunch of close games. And for weeks I kept saying it's going to catch up to this team sooner or later.
What I like going in though is, and we're all aware of it, and I just don't think it's been said enough, is that you're going to see the offense from the linemen to the tight end, to the receivers. They're going to be playing harder for Mike White than they would for the other quarterback, whose name I won't mention. And there's no way you could really measure that because they're professionals and they go 100%. But I think there's a whole bunch of conscious and subconscious issues involved in this thing. I really do. So I'm going to predict the Jets are going to win 20-13. They're going to intercept Kirk Cousins twice, and I'm also going to predict Michael Carter is going to take one to the house, penalty free. As Ray laughs at me, even after I had predicted that they were going to beat Buffalo a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So, all right. Anything else, guys, before we close out this first live streamcast at all?
No, it's a shame. We have unlimited time, and I have nothing else to say.
Nothing else to say. Well, we'll have a lot to say on Sunday. Yeah. All right, for Ray Clifford and Ralph Schrag and Marty Schupak. Enjoy this Sunday's game. Go Jets. Okay, I think we're quit doing that. You guys,
I didn't hear the lady.
you're not going to hear her.
Still says live, Marty.
Oh, it does. Let me.
Okay, keep